going to give them of peace, they are supposed to serve you. They are supposed to become your slave. Do whatever you want with them. Then it's better they fight for their lives. I think that's what the Irish had to do with the English during the times of which they are setting themselves free from the continuous, plundering of the English people. They had to stand up through Wallace and all that storyline. And they say for us to live, Wallace stood up in that sense. If you watch the documentary about it, for us to live under slavery, then we better fight and die. It's worth it than, living under slavery. And obviously that's what it is. Because if they choose to accept also, they may live under the slavery. And within the same slavery state, they are going to find a way one day to take over and, their enemy, or they will live forever thinking and knowing who the enemy is. And maybe the generation that they will come after them from their own seed will probably be ready and more different from them who gave in to the slavery, and probably would like to fight back. So it's like forever you're going to live in a doom moment, always looking over your shoulder that the enemy that you are always enslaving them, you are worrying them, they will strike back. That is what the world is today. The most powerful people are always watching themselves. They are always aware. They are always making plans to protect themselves. Even countries that has got their own border achieve it through battles, and they acquire the lands. Even my country, even your country, wherever where you are. And outside of that, in the universal sense, the other states also who are very richer than others also have the same sense of protecting themselves. So protection becomes a requirement. It becomes a norm of life. People use military guidance. Anyway, that's what all these things are there for, to guide and protect themselves. Why should that be that case? Because there's a sense of fear of what will happen to that person, what will happen to me, what will happen to you. So it becomes necessary. It's a necessity to give yourself some protection, to give yourself that ability to know what is going to happen, to be able to anticipate ahead of time most of the time, And so in the sense of, because of the same attitude that we are having here, the same advices, because that time they were even more religious. Religion was more, at some point, was controlling life, especially religion. If we look at this document, it tells us that generation before us were into all these things. So at some point, if the church rule and they rule by all these things, this game gave them the authority to act. This was the God guidance, the presidential guidance, the queen or the kingship guidance, because this is what they trusted, and they do things through this. And here he's been telling you that if he comes to your place, he finds new people, just like they go to a land and they find new people there. They decree their peace. They say, we can settle peace with you people. Whatever peace is. To me, it is not peace. But yes, that's how it's being portrayed to be peace in this text. And then they tell them, we extend our peace to you. Are you going to accept it or not? If you accept it, we will employ you, put you here, and you become slaves. You serve us. If you don't want that offer, then we have to destroy you, kill you, force you out. And that was in peace, was it? That's no peace. If you talk of peace, I think you watch a video, I've explained what peace is. If we talk of peace, we expect peace in the sense that you and somebody are settling down on the same level with it, respecting each other, his rights, and he respecting your rights. You don't end up using, peace in a very. It's being used, to me, it's being used informal. It's not very much in a formal sense how peace should be, portrayed. Because if in 12 he says, now if they don't accept it, then fight them, besiege them, and then it goes further in 13. He says, and when the Lord your God delivers it into your hands, you shall strike every male in it, and with edge of the sword, every male, kill them. Can you imagine? Sorry. The order of God to kill everybody. it's not, it's very much not acceptable in my eyes of what God is. Now, but the women, the little ones, the livestock, and all that is in the city, all its spoils is spoil, and you shall plunder for yourself, and you shall eat the enemies. Plunder eat the enemies. Plunder which the Lord your God gives you. Anything that the Lord your God gives you, plunder it. And the women and their children, take for yourself, plunder it for yourself. Do whatever you want with that, with them. You can imagine. When we go to hear wars where recently Libya, where his military commanders are frustrating and raping the girls and women and children, and whichever way it is as they choose to do. Authority may be the order have come from above. It's the same situation of that nature. God is telling them to do that to those other people, because they are not in the will of God. They are doing something. It goes further to tell you that in 15, it says, thus, as a result, you shall do to all the cities which are very far from you, which are not of the cities of these nations. Even those are far from the cities that they are plundering now. They can attack all of them. And then he goes to 16, he says, but of the cities of those peoples which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, and shall let nothing that breathe remain alive. Those that he has given us inheritance. He's giving some places to you as an inheritance. Which are not of the cities of these nations. So you go as far. But of the cities of these peoples which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, you shall let nothing that breathe remain alive. Those that he gives you as inheritance, you shall not let anything that breathe, including animals, even insects or ants, anything. That's how far it should be. That's how deep it's going to be. He said, don't let them breathe. Don't let them breathe alive. Take all lives, anything out. Wipe it like you're using a broom. You sweep in a room. Sweep everything away. Now in 70, he said, but you shall utterly destroy them. The Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, just as the Lord your God has commanded you. 18. Lest they teach you to do according to all their abominations which they have done for their gods, and you sin against the Lord your God. These are the reasons. A jealous God, for you to worship another God, then wipe them off. And the countries he mentioned here, they are the same generation. Most of the generations are surviving there now. Outside of the Jewish people, there's a strong hatred among the Jews and the Arabs, which is terrible. It can be, it can be dealt with. It's just beyond. Now, if you go to 19, it says, when you besiege a city for a long time, while making war against it to take it, you shall not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. If you can eat of them, do not cut them down to use in a siege, for the tree of the field is man's food. Only the trees which know are not trees for food, you may destroy and cut down to build siege works against the city that makes war with you until it is subdued. There's the trees that are useful, don't cut them, which with the ones that are not, you can cut them to, make some protective means to guide yourself. Today protective means is different. They wouldn't use trees and all those things that much. They have more strong weapons and things like that to guide and protect themselves. But the whole sense of idea is there's nothing peaceful here. What is harmonious about this? This is an advice coming from God. This is an advice coming from Jehovah. And no matter what these people are, my worry is that, is it not God, is it Jehovah not created them? You are also to believe from the text that Jehovah created all of them. They were going wayward. Jehovah didn't know. So the omniscience